I'm Andy Radford, your host for the Edges Thursday show. Before we go any further, here are some facts you should know about Monsanto's recombinant bovine growth hormone. Monsanto's Posilac is a genetically engineered hormone designed to increase milk supply in lactating cows. Posilac is also known as BST, bovine somatotrophin, or RBGH, recombinant bovine growth hormone. With inside help from a former Monsanto consultant who went to work for the US government, the US Food and Drugs Administration approved RBGH for sale in November 1993. In January 1996, a new medical study argued that RBGH may promote cancer of the breast and colon in humans who drink milk from RBGH-treated cows. RBGH is injected into a dairy cow every 2 weeks during her lactational period. It works by stimulating the release of another hormone called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which then causes the cow to yield more milk. Studies have shown that the milk from RBGH-treated cows contains elevated levels of IGF-1. This gives cause for concern, as this hormone is chemically identical in both humans and cows. When the FDA passed RBGH safe for human consumption, this fact was not known. What effect this uncontrolled hormone consumption will have on the general population is also not known. In Germany, veterinarians formally opposed RBGH because of its ill effects on treated cows. They take the position that the use of RBGH violates their code of ethics. Proponents of RBGH now acknowledge that milk from cows treated with the drug contains increased levels of IGF-1, which, as mentioned earlier, is identical in both humans and cows. IGF-1 is not broken down by pasteurization, therefore IGF-1 ingested in milk from RBGH-treated cows is likely to be biologically active in humans. Dr. Samuel S. Epstein at the University of Illinois published a paper in January 1996 arguing that IGF-1 from RBGH-treated cows may well promote cancer of the breast and colon in humans who drink such milk. Epstein wrote, "With the active complicity of the FDA, the entire nation is currently being subjected to an experiment involving large-scale adulteration of an age-old dietary staple by a poorly characterized and unlabeled biotechnology product." Epstein also said, "Disturbingly, this experiment benefits only a small segment of the agri-chemical industry while providing no matching benefits to consumers. Even more disturbingly, it poses major potential public health risks for the entire US population," said Dr. Epstein. The following report describes what happened to a group of investigative reporters when they uncovered the truth about Monsanto's bovine growth hormone.
What Fox Television told us was that we were just the people to be the investigators.
Do any stories you want, ask tough questions, and get answers. So we thought, this is great, this is a dream job, fantastic. The very first thing they had us do was not to research stories, but to shoot this promo, which was The Investigators.
Uncovering the truth, getting results, protecting you.
And they had a film crew and a smoke machine, and we were silhouetted.
Investigative reporter Steve.
One of the first stories that Jane came up with was the revelation that most of the milk in the state of Florida and throughout much of the country was adulterated with the effects of bovine growth hormone, the artificial hormone that farmers were injecting into their cows so that they would produce more milk.
With Monsanto, I didn't realize how effectively a corporation could work to get something on the marketplace. The levels of coordination they had to have. They had to get university professors into the fold. They had to get experts into the fold. They had to get reporters into the fold. They had to get the public into the fold. And of course the FDA, let's not leave them out. They had to get the federal regulators convinced that this was a fine and safe product to get it onto the marketplace. And they did that. They did that very, very well.
It's a great time to be a high-producing cow. Posilac One Step, bovine somatotropin by Monsanto.
The federal government basically rubber-stamped it before they put it on the marketplace. The longest test they did for human toxicity was 90 days on 30 rats.
Posilac is the single most tested new product in history and is now available to you specifically so you can increase your profit potential.
And then either Monsanto misreported the results to the FDA, or the FDA didn't bother to look in depth at Monsanto's own studies.
The scientists within Health Canada looked very carefully at bovine growth hormone and came to very different conclusions than the Food and Drug Administration in the U.S. did.
Monsanto's engineered growth hormone did not comply with safety requirements. It could be absorbed by the body and therefore did have implications for human health. Mysteriously, that conclusion was deleted from the final published version of their report.
They knew there were problems. They saw serious potential human health problems, and they stood up in Canada and said, we're not going to approve this because we don't believe it's safe.
We have been pressured and coerced to pass drugs of questionable safety, including the RBST. I personally was very concerned that there's a very serious problem of secrecy, conspiracy, and things of that nature, and something needs to be done.
The FDA was then on the hot seat. They had to come up with an answer. They didn't come up with a good one. And they never took the opportunity then. I mean, what would they do? Pull it off the market and say we need to now do the job that we didn't do the first time? They didn't do that.
We wrote the story. We had it ready a week beforehand. They bought ads.
Farmers in the milk industry say it's safe, but studies suggest a link to cancer. Don't miss this special report from the investigators.
That Friday night before the Monday the series was to begin, the fax machine spit out a letter from this very high-priced lawyer in New York that Monsanto had hired. It contained a lot of things that were just off-the-wall false, just demonstrably false. But if you didn't know the story and you didn't know how we had gone about producing it, would have scared you as a broadcaster, as a manager.
And they decided that they would pull the story and they would just check it one more time.
But the bottom line was that there was no factual errors in that story. Both sides had been heard from. Both sides had had an opportunity to speak.
1 week later, Monsanto sent the second letter. And this was even more strongly worded. And it said there will be dire consequences for Fox News if the story airs in Florida. And this time they freaked. They were afraid of being sued, and they were also afraid of losing advertising dollars at all of the stations owned by Rupert Murdoch. And he owned more television stations than any other group in America. That's 22 television stations. That's a lot of advertising dollars for Roundup, aspartame, NutraSweet, and other products.
So we got into a battle, and the first deal was the new general manager.
And his name's Dave. And Dave is a salesman, and, you know, he'd pump your hand. How you doing? How you doing?
Called us upstairs to his office, and he said, what would you say if I killed this piece? What if it never ran? And we said, well, you know, we wouldn't be very happy about that. And he said, well, I could kill it, you know. And we said, yes, of course, you're the manager. You could kill it. It would never air. And he's hemming and he's hawing and he's back and he's forth. And we couldn't figure out, what is this all about? And finally he blurted out, look, would you tell anybody? You know, I said, I'm not going to lie for you. About a week later, calls us back to the office and says, okay, we'd like you to make these changes. In fact, you will make these changes. We said, well, look, let us show you the research that we have that shows that this information you want us to broadcast isn't true. To which he replies, I don't care about that.